In this video, I'm going to talk about how we can import and export analysis data inside the EcoTect environment. First of all, to understand that we're talking about two different things here: model geometry and information, or analysis data generated inside the EcoTect on grids, zones, or surfaces. So I'm going to talk a bit about how we can import model geometry and information from Vasari and Revit, and how we can export simulations done inside the EcoTect environment of zones, surfaces, and grids. So I have now opened the EcoTect environment, and I'm going to show you how to effectively import analysis data as XML, green building XML, and how to analyze data generated inside EcoTect on zones and surfaces. So before going into the actual import inside EcoTect, I just want to have a quick walkabout on Vasari. So here you see that I have used Vasari for creating an energy model using the energy settings, and this is really the most effective way to generate kind of a baseline model on DO2 that we can import into EcoTect very fast and simple to create a baseline energy model for our design. So what's really important here is that if you just go to the Vasari icon and says export to mass model GBXML, then it won't understand your model as walls, windows, ceilings, roofs, etc. So what you have to do is you have to go to the analysis tab and export your model to the conceptual energy analysis. So when you have done that and you go to export mass model GBXML and import into EcoTect, then it will be able to recognize the different components here. Then it will be able to recognize the constructions as walls, windows. So if you're working inside Revit, having a more detailed model, you should really make sure to go room and area, make sure that it's marked as areas and volumes, go to a plane view and set up some sections to check out if, let's see, make a section and say go to view, and really make sure that the rooms are room bounding, and that the top control and lower control are below the bounding surfaces or components inside the model. Then go to a 3D view and go to export as GBXML and set the complexity here based on the model you're working with, and export the model. So when that's done, so inside the EcoTect environment, we can go to files, we can go to import model analysis data, choose green building XML, drag in the XML file or whatever file we want to import, and you'll see that it's now generated all the spaces inside the Revit model, and it understands the walls and etc. But what we can do in here is that we can just check that it's understanding. For example, here it's just guessing from the orientation that this is 1,000,000. So what we can do is we can go to material and we can set this as a wall or a partition, and we can make sure that these are correct. We can also go in to materials and say select existing materials, and just to make sure what this is, that this is a wall. And now we have the opportunity to look down in the library, choosing whatever component. Say this needs to be this wall here, and it maps this down to the library inside EcoTect. And we can choose and we can choose what kind of grouping or structure we want to have inside the zone management inside EcoTect. So to speed this up a bit, we can save these settings out as a material translation list. So we can just say call this case grupo, and we save this out. So let's say cancel, and we go to the folder again and we drag it in again, and we go to load, and you'll see that it's really saved the location of this MTL file or material translation. So we load this, and you'll see that now it maps and makes the same structure. So we just say import, and because we did this mapping already, all the materials and surfaces are set up correctly inside EcoTect. So now I want to look at how we can analyze the data from zones. So if you go to the analysis tab and we go to, for example, look at passive gains breakdown, and we calculate this, you see that I just speeded it up a bit. So we get a lot of good input from this graph. But what we can do here is, instead of just looking at the result inside EcoTect, we're able to use the report report generator to either send this out to Excel or use a pre-defined report within inside EcoCheck. So to do this, we just right click and we go down to generate report, and we can go just to choose EcoCheck CCS or Microsoft Excel or just a text file, whatever. So let's just try this out, and we see now it makes a really nice report of the results from the zone. So we can do that whatever kind of simulation we do. So if we now turn on the analysis grid, and we see that I did a daylighting simulation down here, and we want to look at the data, not only looking at the data as a visual interpretation here, we go to grid management, and we can just go to manage grid data, and we can set analyze data, and it will then generate a report based on the settings where we want to look at the data. So that's a way that we can look at the data and extract data to either EcoCheck or a report generator, or take it out to Microsoft Excel. So here I have just prepared another model looking at solar radiation on surfaces model using Solar Simple and drag it in. And what I can do here is I just go to display settings, display object attributes, total radiation, and if you go to visualize, you'll see that it's now displaying the amount of radiation here. And to take this out and analyze this data to compare the impact on existing buildings or the new envelopment here, we can just go to properties here, and we can say analyze data. So then we get all of the numbers and all of the things that we want to look at in a structured way, so we don't have to set up the maximum and minimum and average values in Excel. We can just take this graph or this report here and export it to Excel. Clicking the format, Microsoft Excel, and say OK.